Alright, so this is going to be a little bit of a weird video with some speculation, but we are less than 2 months away from the release of Armored Core 6. This is supposed to be the time where hype is really ramping up and excitement can't be contained as new details about the game are released. But this hasn't quite been the case with Armored Core 6. In this video, I want to take some time to look at From Software and Bandai Namco's marketing strategy while also touching on some components we are still waiting to see. As always, if you find this video interesting or informative, consider subscribing to the channel for more Armored Core videos in the future. So first and foremost, I want to discuss the difference between a video game developer and publisher because I sometimes see some confusion between the two. Typically, a developer is responsible for crafting the actual video game experience. In this case, that would be From Software actually developing the Armored Core 6 experience. Bandai Namco, in this case the publisher, would be in charge of the marketing side of things. They would be responsible for the marketing strategies and campaigns to get Armored Core 6 into as many consumers' hands as possible. So whenever we see a discussion about why From Software isn't really marketing Armored Core 6, it likely isn't the developer's fault. However, since From Software does do self-publishing sometimes, I'm guessing there is somewhat of an intricate dance behind the scenes on how the game gets marketed between two publishers. That being said, let's look a bit into some previous titles from Software games and see what their marketing campaigns were like. Namely, I'm going to be looking at Elden Ring here since that was their most recent release. Elden Ring was first announced June 12th of 2019 at E3 by showing a trailer. Details on the game were very limited at this time with no release date announced. As a result, details on the game went dark for nearly 2 years until the gameplay trailer dropped June 10th of 2021. At this point, we started to see more of how the game would play using in-game footage rather than pre-rendered gameplay, and it's important to note that this footage, there was no HUD shown. This will bring us up to around November 4th of 2021, where a 20-minute gameplay preview dropped. Once again, there was no HUD, and instead it was just 20 minutes of pure gameplay showing different zones and mechanics. Elden Ring would then go on to release February 25th of 2022, which was preceded by a launch trailer on February 22nd. Armored Core 6 has been following a similar, albeit much more compressed timeline. The trailers we've been getting have been coming out at a steady pace leading up to the release, but there's one major difference between what Armored Core 6 is going through versus what Elden Ring went through in terms of their marketing campaigns. That difference is Elden Ring had a closed beta test 1 to 2 months before the official release of the game. This gave interested players a chance to try out the game before things went live, but more importantly, this beta gave players an opportunity to see the game for what it will be. The beta allowed players to actually experience the gameplay rather than just looking at a marketing pre-recorded gameplay footage that's just been spliced together. Now, we haven't heard any discussions about a closed beta or a playable demo for Armored Core 6, and I think this would be something players would greatly appreciate at this point, an opportunity just to see more of the game from a genuine perspective. It would be great if there was a playable demo which allowed players to experience maybe like the first 2 or 3 missions just to get a feel for the game while also providing some feedback. The series is going through a bit of a reboot, and I feel like some feedback from players at this point would be invaluable. This will be the first time an Armored Core game is releasing in such a large spotlight, so I just hope that it will be the best that it can be. For this next topic, I want to talk a little bit about the target audience. Who is Armored Core 6 being made for? I often see comments thrown around like, oh, this game isn't made for true Armored Core fans, this is catering more to the Souls crowd. But from a business perspective, doesn't it actually make sense to tap into both communities a little bit, but lean more into the majority? In this case, the majority being Souls fans, and let's face it, as an Armored Core fan myself, the series has always been fairly niche. As such, I believe the game is primarily trying to appeal to Souls fans by showing new melee mechanics, stagger systems, and combos and stuff like that. In addition, From Software can probably count on old school Armored Core fans to get the game simply due to being deprived of anything Armored Core for the last 10 years. This community is frothing at the mouth for anything MechWarrior related. By making the game a little bit more Souls-like, they, in the grand scheme of things, lose a couple of the hardcore Armored Core fandom, but instead they make up for that in troves of additional fans from the Souls series, I'm assuming. They've done the market research, I'm sure they know what they're doing. That being said, there are aspects of the game that I'm sure will still feel very Armored Core-like and nothing like a Souls game at all. but there will also be some aspects of the game that utilize some Souls flavoring as well. With every release, FromSoft has cultivated a larger and larger audience of fans, but many of those fans know FromSoft for their development of the Souls series and Elden Ring rather than something like Armored Core. So it just makes sense the game will incorporate some Souls-like mechanics to appeal to the larger audience. But it's still important to recognize a lot of the Armored Core mechanics actually lay the foundation for the Souls series mechanics. So the game is less than 2 months away. What's next? We're just getting into total speculation at this point, but I doubt that we will see any kind of playable demo, even though I think it would be greatly appreciated and help the game in the long term. Instead, I think that we would see another gameplay demo which focuses on showcasing more weapons and mech types. We've seen a lot from the gameplay demo already, but there are still some missing components like the HUD and shoulder extensions. We've just yet to see anything related to those yet. In fact, I don't think that we'll even see the HUD until maybe a launch trailer, if at all. So instead, I'm telling myself now to start expecting trailers similar to what we've already seen. The trailers so far have been on par with what Bandai and FromSoft have released for previous titles in their marketing campaigns after all. At this point though, I'd like to hear what you all think of From Software and Bandai Namco's marketing. What do you expect to see before August 25th? More gameplay demos? A beta test perhaps? Let me know in the comments. But that's it from me. This is GooberTroy saying thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.